And ladies and gentlemen, at this time we'd like to start with the induction ceremony. The USC Aiken Athletics Hall of Fame was created to honor persons whose participation and contributions enriched and strengthened the university's athletic program. Criteria considered include athletic accomplishments of the individual while at USC Aiken, as well as post-USC Aiken accomplishments and character. There is a 5-year waiting period after leaving USC Aiken to become eligible for inclusion in the Hall of Fame. A committee made up of selected Pacer Club members, designated Hall of Fame members, local media, campus representatives, and alumni members vote on the new inductees each year. Set to be inducted tonight into the USC Aiken Hall of Fame are Dr. William S. Carr, who helped start basketball at USC Aiken. He is being inducted posthumously and being presented by Preston Maroney. Jeff Goff of golf, who is being presented by his dad, Bruce Goff. Zach Norris of men's basketball, who is being presented by Carrie Rich. Jessica Strickland of softball, who is being presented by Aaron Ward. And Dr. Jim Kaufman, administrator, who is being presented by his son, Greg Kaufman. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Preston Maroney, who will present Dr. William S. Carr.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. William S. Carr, 1921-1978. This presentation is not full of statistics or great achievements in college basketball. It is a presentation of a man who gave his time and effort to coach and mentor young men who are now mostly retired, but can still remember what Doc meant to them. We say Dr. Carr, but to all of us that knew him, played for him, it was simply Doc. You can see a ball player from '61 and say, who coached? Doc did. Some of these players have told me that Doc was a major factor in their achievements in life. Doc was always available. If you had a problem, just wanted to talk, or show up in his backyard and shoot basketball, you were always welcome. During these coaching years at USCA, Doc was a man who also ran a thriving veterinary practice, both small and large animal, volunteered with various charities in the Aiken area, and held various offices even to the president of the South Carolina Veterinarian Association, all the time still finding time to coach and mentor young men. Added to this, he was a father. He had Steve, David, Jim, Cindy, and Gene at home. When he started coaching, I think Steve was still in high school. And Tom, I'm not leaving you out. You came after the basketball years. With all of this on his plate, Doc managed to help establish and maintain a valid basketball program here at Aiken. In his early years, Doc played basketball in high school, and his senior team won their division state championship. He was selected to be the captain of his freshman college team, but the good Lord decided, Doc, you need to break a leg. Doc broke a leg and never played a game in college. Jim was telling me, his son, that he was in the backyard shooting ball one day, and his dad walked out back and said, son, did I ever tell you that I was in a free throw shooting contest one time? And I won it, over 100 in a row. But most of us, well, I see some that'll remember, but most of you may not remember that, you see today, they get out here and they dribble. Doc was, so a lot of y'all have not seen that, but he also had the two-handed set shot. Basketball at USCA was established in 1961 under the tutelage of Mr. Joe Junis and Doc Carr. Doc coached at USCA from 1961 to 1968. Doc coached his last game 48 years ago. During this coaching time, it was a period that Doc didn't have to review films. He didn't have to do scouting reports or hit the recruiting trail. This wasn't even on a coach's radar at this time. Recruiting did not exist. It was all by word of mouth. Hey guys, we got a basketball team. You want to play? Come on down. It took a degree of coaching and understanding basketball for Doc to take the players that he had, some from high school, some came out of church league, and some just came out of the corner lot wanting to play basketball at the college level, for Doc to produce winning records. But the records for this period in time of USA history are scarce or basically do not exist. In the early years with Doc coaching, we played and practiced at what is now Kenny Middle School, and on some occasions Aiken High, everywhere we could find to go. Doc would have to take time out of his busy practice and family, get with the schools, find time for us to practice, and find times to implement the games. Usually we practiced on Tuesdays and Thursdays and played on Friday and Saturday. What did Doc's players were that great that we only practiced twice a week? But that was the only time we could find some place to practice, unless we practiced in Doc's backyard behind the veterinary practice. I was talking to some of the early players that I said, well, when you went on away games, what'd you do? I mean, how much does the school put up for you? They sort of laughed. Hey, we went on a away game. We paid for our own gas in our car, and we paid for our own meals. So one of them was telling me we got to Lancaster on a away game, and one of the Lancaster cheerleaders' dad owned a restaurant, and he brought us over, bought our meals, and fed us. But as time progressed, a lot of this expense of gas and traveling and food came out of Doc's pocket. He loved basketball here, that he was willing to work 24/7 at a thriving practice, spent time coaching and mentoring young men, and then taking money out of his pocket so they could go play and have food to eat and gas to put in their car. But we did find that the Aiken County Commission of Higher Education did a lot of budget in 1963-64 for the team at USCA. Hey, Coach, we got $140 that year. I hope you're getting more now. Aiken was the fifth of the university satellite centers to be established. We started with 138 students and a faculty of 3 and 1 secretary. So with only a men's team at that time, 138 students, I don't know what the male-female ratio, but it was probably pretty well even. So that left Doc with 60 people to look at to fill a basketball team. And like I said, there was no recruiting. Aiken became part of the Carolina League, along with Lancaster, Conway, Beaufort, and Florence. Later years would see the addition of Salkehatchie, Spartanburg, and Union. The teams in 1961, 62, 62, and 63 won the Carolina State Trophy. In 1955, 1956, Doc had an undefeated season, 10-0, and we lost the state championship in the final game. Doc had a winning season in each of the years he coached. I was talking to Randy Wart, and we can't put this in the record books here until we do some more research and get the cold, hard facts on it that we can put it in black and white and say this actually is what it is, Doc's one-loss record. But what we have, unconfirmed, is Doc, in the years that he coached here, had a 644% winning record, highest of any coach at USCA. We will work to get those facts in. And the other thing Doc had that no other coach at USC Aiken has had, starting with his first year of coaching and ending with his last in 1968, he had a great salary of zero. So he coached all those years with no money coming in and money going out. Like I said, there are not great achievements, great statistics when we're talking about Doc. But those of us that played for him, we know it right here. He was the man that helped put basketball on the map here at USCA. I'd now like the Carr family to come up and stand in front of the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the family of Dr. William Carr. Our next presenter is Bruce Goff, who will present for Jeff.
Dr. Jordan, Mr. Warwick, and Coach Carlisle, family, friends, and guests. It's my honor and privilege to stand before you this evening to say a few words about my son, Jeffrey Goff. We joined Woodside Plantation back in 1990 as a non-resident member. We live in a little town of Jackson, and there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity for Jeff to play golf over there. I love the game, and I wanted him to learn correctly. And it seems like yesterday that Jeff and I would be standing on the first tee, and you have to understand that he never played before, so wherever I hit my tee shot, he placed the ball from there and played it into the green. So it didn't take him long to get a little bit better than me because he got tired of hitting from where I hit the ball from. But anyway, a few years later, he was out driving me by about 30 yards. And at that time, even at a young age, he had a very good short game. He was very impressive. In the summer months, we arranged transportation to get him a ride to Aiken. And this young lady put him out at the golf course, starting on Tuesdays through Friday. And he was there all day long. And I'd pick him up somewhere between 5 and 6 o'clock every evening. I must admit, though, that day would not have been possible without the help of a few people along the way. Early on, Jackie and Daniel Sewell played a big part in molding Jeff's swing and confidence as he made his way through their junior program at Woodside, where he won the Carolinas Junior Championship at age 12 for his age group. Our summer family vacations revolved around Jeff's golf tournament schedule for many years. While in 7th grade, Jeff shot a 1-under par 70 in the final round of the South Carolina 6A conference tournament, which allowed him to win the first of 6 straight all-conference team awards while playing at Silver Bluff High School. He also won 2 straight Woodside Junior Club championships. Jeff, for some reason at that time, he took a break out of high school, summer of 2000. He attended USC Aiken for 3 semesters until enrolling in Aiken Tech, where he went to school and worked part-time at Bridgestone. After acquiring a 2-year degree from Aiken Tech, Bridgestone offered him a full-time job, and in 2002, Jeff started dating his wife, Katie Henderson, and they was married in 2004. They have a 6-year-old daughter, Addie, and a 4-year-old son, Tucker. About that time, Jeff picked up his clubs again there in 2004 and began to play with coworkers and friends. In 2006, he decided to try his hand on Monday qualifying for nationwide and PGA Tour events as an amateur and the U.S. Amateur qualifying. In August of 2006, the State South Carolina Amateur was hosted by Palmetto Golf Club here in Aiken. And to our surprise, Jeff found himself in the final threesome and eventually won by 3 shots. And here comes the best part. I'd like to think it was because of his caddy. That was me. And we really know the true story, that it had nothing to do with it. Shortly after that, Jeff and his wife, Katie, came to see his mother, Nancy, and I to talk about something. Just called us up out of the blue. So we assumed they was coming to tell us that Katie was pregnant with their first child. But to our surprise, they came to tell us that Jeff was going to quit his job at Bridgestone, go back to school to become a pacer at the University of South Carolina, Aiken, and play golf for Coach Mike Carlisle. Our biggest concern at that time was that he came away from USC Aiken with a degree. And thankfully, it was important not only to Jeff, but his wife, Katie, also. While at USC Aiken, from 2006 through 2008, Jeff had a number of accomplishments and influential people that allowed this day to be possible. I'd like to give a special thanks to Coach Mike Carlisle for believing in Jeff and offering him a scholarship. Second, a thank you goes to Randy Warwick, Brooks Blackburn, and Scott Brown for sacrificing their time to fill in for Coach when Coach was sick in the spring of 2008. And I finally think it'd be appropriate that I thank Palmetto Golf Club and their members for supporting USC Aiken golf program. In 2007, Jeff was the medalist at the Richard Riddleman Invitational. He had 4 top 10 finishes and was selected all-region. In 2008, Jeffrey had 7 top 10 finishes, including top 10 finishes at the Peach Belt Conference Tournament, the NCAA Southeast Regional, and the NCAA Title Tournament. He concluded that season as a first-team All-American selection and won the NCAA Division II National Championship individual medalist honor. He was also selected All-Region, All-Conference that year, as well as being a finalist for the Jack Nicklaus Award, and he received the Arnold Palmer Award. Jeff ended his career in the top 10 in school history in a scoring average of 73.78 in 74 rounds played. After the spring semester of 2008, his college career was over. Jeff completed his education at USC Aiken, attended summer school in the month of June and July. He turned professional, played on the Tar Heel, the E-Golf Tour, the Hooters Tour, and attempted to qualify for various nationwide and PGA events. He went on to PGA qualifying school in the fall of 2008 and 9, and after 2 years of attempting to make a career of professional golf, Katie and Jeff decided to go back to a normal lifestyle. He returned to work at Bridgestone. He now fishes more than he plays golf, and I hope and pray that Jeff has many experiences with his children as his mother and I had with him. On behalf of myself, my wife Nancy, Jeffrey's wife Katie, and their 2 children, Addie and Tucker, I'd like to introduce my son, the USC Aiken Athletic Department Hall of Famer, Jeffrey Goff.
Well, I guess it's my turn to speak. Well, good evening. I'm certainly honored to be here. I would like to thank the University of South Carolina at Aiken, the athletic department, my family and friends that are here tonight. Coach Carlisle, I see you sitting out there. You were certainly a big part of this. And I have a couple high school coaches in the audience as well that I haven't talked to in several years, so certainly glad to see you tonight. Thank you for being here. But quickly, I'll try and be brief. There were two people that made this possible. My wife, one, this was her idea, actually, for me to leave my job and return to school. And with that, she committed to financially supporting our household and supporting me while I was here. And in addition to my wife, Coach Carlisle, I called him one afternoon in his office, and surprisingly enough, he answered. I'm not sure I'd ever reached him on his office phone for the 2 years that I played for him. But that one August afternoon, he answered, and I asked a simple question. This is who I am. Do you think I have any eligibility left? And I wasn't trying to come play here. I was just curious if I had eligibility and if playing college golf was even an option. That was certainly a childhood dream of mine. So we talked, and within 5 minutes, or roughly 5 minutes, he told me he believed I had 2 years eligibility, and he wasn't sure what my plans were, but he'd love for me to come here to USC Aiken and play for him. So 3 weeks removed from that conversation, I was sitting in a classroom. It took a lot for my wife and I to make all that possible. It was certainly a lifestyle change. I was what they call a non-traditional student. I always thought that was because of my age. But I realized my first day on campus wearing a backpack, I was non-traditional because I did not fit in. I felt like a fish out of water. But either way, I survived. I enjoyed playing golf. We had a great time. I got to see many places that I'd never seen before, play many golf courses, meet people from various countries all around the world, my teammates and other teams as well that we competed against. And those people I will remember for the rest of my life. It was always interesting when we traveled. Those few trips that required an airplane for us to reach our destination, without fail, we had problems. Whether it was, I think one time, Coach, we were at LaGuardia. I think we sat there for about 8 hours waiting on a flight home. My last semester, Mr. Warwick was with us. We were in Laredo, Texas. We arrived in Houston. I believe it was around 9 a.m. And in order to get back to Atlanta, we left Houston at about 6 p.m. that evening, flew to Chicago, and left Chicago to come to Atlanta. Not quite sure how that works, but that was the only way for us to get home. But either way, I'm blessed to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you very much. Good evening.
At this time, I'd like to welcome Carrie Rich, who will be the presenter for Zach Norris.
Good evening. I'm Kerry Rich, and wanted to thank all of you for having me here just to take a very small part in a very, very special event tonight. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be a part of here, to be at USC Aiken tonight. Tonight is special because whenever you get elected to the Hall of Fame as a former athlete, I think it speaks to your resume, it speaks to your body of work, and it simply says that you were one of the absolute best to ever do it. And I think it also speaks to the respect that you're able to earn from your peers. As much as I enjoyed and appreciated the support that we got from our fans, I could just tell you that it's nothing like earning the respect of the guys that you go up against and the guys that share that common goal that you prepare for every single day. And that's why I think it's so special to be a part of the Hall of Fame, getting inducted. What really makes tonight special for me is that I get to introduce a very special friend, Zachary Norris, one of my closest and most trusted friends. I think our friendship will be tested tonight if his high school team, who's playing and vying for a region championship back in Columbia, if they lose tonight. If they lose tonight while he's here, I think it'll make for a very long ride back to Columbia. So let's cross our fingers that his team is taking care of business as we speak right now, as they continue to try to win another region championship back in Columbia at Keener High School. Here's some of the highlights of Zach Norris as a player and a coach. He was the captain of the USC Aiken District 6 Championship basketball team, 1979-1980. First Lou Perkins Scholarship Award winner, 1980. MVP, USC Aiken men's basketball team, 1979 and 1980. He was the Student of the Year, Education Department, USC Aiken, 1980. Some of his achievements as a secondary basketball coach: he had 21 top 10 interstate rankings for varsity basketball at Glen Hills High School, Williston Elko High School, Saluda High School, Newberry High School, and Keenan High School, where he still coaches at today. He has 21 state playoff appearances, 18 region titles, and the Region Coach of the Year awards, 7 state final appearances, 2 state runner-up awards, 5 state championship awards, 6 high school sports report 3A Coach of the Year awards, Excellence in Coaching Award 1993, 1994, 2003, 2004, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2014, 2015. In 26 years of coaching, he has a winning percentage at a 79% clip. It's pretty impressive. That means he's winning about 8 out of every 10 games he coaches. It's pretty impressive. Numerous former players have achieved collegiate playing status. 4 former players have achieved professional status. Overall record of 645 wins and 175 losses. If I could just share a quick story and how Zach and I became really close. I played basketball in the city of Columbia during this heyday. It was at the absolute peak, and we always had high-level D1 players coming out of several high schools every single year. And because of that, we're very proud of our tradition in Columbia. And that pride also allows us to be a little bit territorial. We're very protective of what happens in Columbia. We're very protective and supportive of the players and the coaches that came through the city of Columbia. When Zach first came to W.J. Keenan High School in 1999, Zach was in a really tough spot because not only was he an outsider, but he was also replacing a legend in Columbia at W.J. Keenan High School by the name of Ben Trapp. Not only was he replacing that legend, but he also happened to have to coach a McDonald's All-American by the name of Jerome Harper, who was terrific on the basketball court, but probably didn't manage his off-the-court actions in an ideal manner. So that was a challenge, and so many people were waiting to see how Zach Norris was going to handle that. Well, I'll just very nicely say that 5 state championships later, and now being known as the absolute best coach to ever coach at W.J. Keenan High School, with 5 state titles, he's recognized as one of the absolute best high school coaches to ever come through South Carolina, not Columbia, but the state of South Carolina. He's in the elite category with the number of state championships he's won. And the thing that I really enjoy about him more than anything is he's a champion for kids. He's a champion for some of the challenged inner city kids that that he coaches every single day. And when you're coaching, you're always supposed. I was in a seminar earlier, and one of the questions was, why do you do what you do? And the simple answer was to impact others. And he's done a really, really good job of impacting kids. His place is in history when it comes to being a great basketball coach, but more importantly, he's a great friend. He's a great person. Without further ado, Zachary Norris.
Well, good evening to everyone. It is an honor and a pleasure to receive such a warm presentation presented me from Mr. Kerry Rich. He's a very good friend of mine. He took me in open arms when I hit the city of Columbia coaching, and really, to be honest with you, I never looked back. I was an inner cities kid too, from Augusta, Georgia, and you know, it's probably the best fit that could ever be for me to be in the city of Columbia. I want to start out first and foremost, I would like to thank the Lord, because without him, none of this would have been possible, none of it. He's a vital point in my life, and I keep him in my prayers daily. You know, it's real hard out there, especially dealing with inner city kids. Teaching them that, you know, to have enough self-esteem to make it. But one thing that I do with my guys is I make them, well, we usually go to church once a month together, and that kind of keeps them together. I'm not going to tell you it's been good times all the time. It's been some bad times, but in order to teach kids lesson, I learned this a long time ago from Johanna Gibbs in one of her classes about coaching ethics. When I was here at USC Aiken, you've got to be consistent. Got to be consistent. And most of my guys, you know, that I've coached, they look at me as a second father. And I really appreciate that. I would like to also thank the induction committee here at USC Aiken, Mr. Warwick and Ms. Jordan, for the chancellor here, for, you know, inducting me into the Hall of Fame. That lets me know that I was really appreciated when I played here for 4 years, from 76 through 80. I was on the ground floor here, you know, moving into NAIA, and I remember when Coach Perkins came to my high school, and, you know, he talked to me one day, and he said, well, what I like about you, you're a competitor. You don't like to lose, and I definitely don't like to lose. And we had some hard times, too, when I came here. But I definitely want to thank the induction committee for, you know, accepting me into the Hall of Fame. I would like to also thank my mother, Ms. Lee Eunice Norris, and my deceased father, Archie Norris, who I know right now is watching over me and smiling, because this would make a perfect day for him. I guess it was just, you know, one of those things. He couldn't be here tonight. He passed away last year, and he's always on my mind, and he's on my guys' mind, on my team, year in and year out. You know, that's all that he'll ask, and that's all my players ask, how's your pops doing? But, you know, we miss him, but life goes on. And I know he's definitely looking over us now. Also my family, Faye Ryans Norris, who was inducted here in the very first class. My auntie, Dorothy Allen, who's like my second mother. I remember those whoopings I used to get when I used to be bad in elementary school. Ain't that right, Dottie? Also my children, Krista and Ryan, and my grandbaby over there, Jayla. Thank you for all the support and love through the years. I really appreciate that. To my friends, especially my family from Williston, I'm not going to leave you out. Those were some of the greatest days of my life at Williston, in Williston, South Carolina. It was just like home there. I'm thinking about retiring in the next couple of years, and I was kidding with one of my former players out there tonight, but I was dead serious about maybe if they need me, I'll come on back and just retire. They got a nice golf course, and you know, and the kids are great there. Everyone just needs leadership, that's all. I'd like to also thank my former high school coach, Danny Black, and my middle school coaches, Mr. Ed Drumgold and Mr. Ray Kavanaugh. And I would have to say that Mr. Drumgold and Mr. Kavanaugh are the epitome of probably the way that I turned out. Mr. Drumgold, he was a hard, stern man, which I am too. He used to, I'm not going to say beat me, but he used to make me earn his respect, let's put it like that, when I acted up. Because I remember I was a quarterback on the football team, and I never forget my first game starting. And Coach Drumgold sent a play in, and I changed it. And he hit me upside my helmet when I got over that sideline, and my head was just spinning and everything. And I said, Mr. Drumgold, I'm sorry. He said, sorry is not going to get it. We expect greatness. And I always remember that. And he never did have a problem with me changing another play. Matter of fact, I got home that evening, and my father asked me, why did Coach Drumgold hit you upside the head? I said, Dad, I changed the play. But hold you not, he hit me too. So that's the type of love. You know, everyone wanted you to be successful, and the people that I grew up with and that were over me and supported me. Coach Perkins, can't forget about Coach Perkins. I came here in '76, kind of on the wild side, straight out of Aquinas High School, had a little accolades, kind of cocky in the head about how I should be playing and this and that, because at Aquinas, I'm going to be honest with you, I was the man. I shot all the balls, did everything, and Coach was trying to change me, you know, into a complete player, and I really appreciate that for him. And he's probably the reason why I'm in coaching too today. I have the utmost respect for him and Coach Larry Wall. Coach Perkins started me out, and he disciplined me and brought me into being one of probably the best point guards, you know, around. And that carries over to my coaching ability, you know. And I'm blessed at Keenan High School, and really throughout every high school I've been at, that I've had good point guards. But I guess that comes from me too, because I think like a point guard, so I'm going to teach them how to think and be the minds on the court. And I've really been blessed to have some. But Coach Perkins is definitely, I talked to Coach last year after my state championship. He called me that night. He said, you want another one, huh? I said, yeah, Coach. He said, well, just keep on winning them. Keep on. I said, I plan on it, Coach. That's the only way they can remember you, which is state championships. But I've had kids to come back, you know, that won on state championship teams that just love me to death. And I have been hard on them. I know last year, state championship run, I had a player, a senior guy, and it wasn't his playing on the court, but it was what he was doing off the court that I really didn't like. And it kind of blew up one day in practice. He was being disrespectful to one of the coaches. So I politely told him, this is your last one. He didn't believe me. The next day he came to practice, and his locker was cleaned out. And he came up, he said, Coach, my stuff not in there. I said, well, Fonte, I told you it was your last one. He said, oh, Coach. He just broke out into tears. I felt sorry for him, but I knew I had to teach him a lesson at that time. And this was right before the Christmas break. This kid brought his reverend, his mother, the principal at our high school, who doesn't really mess with me about my athletic team. He even went to the superintendent to try to get to talk to me about him coming back. And what it really took was his teammates and my coaching staff. They didn't want him to go to the streets. So I sat him down, and I read him the riot act, and he was a perfect gentleman, let's say the rest of the season for the last 10 games. That's when I brought him back. And he probably was a very vital cog in that state championship run because he was such a competitor. he didn't really like to lose, but he really didn't want to play with his teammates either, and then he had a street life that was kind of shaky. But he did tighten it up, and I'm proud to say right now that he's going into the military to continue his success, and he thanks me every day about it. I would also like to thank my former teammates, Sidney Gray, Dan Alexander, Billy Mars, Bill Weeks. Man, if they just know some of the things we've done throughout our college career and the fun we had. It was so exciting, so exciting. I can't forget the times we sitting at the house because it wasn't in dorms here. We sat at the house and my roommates sitting in Dan. We might sit up all night, play cards, but we was always in class that next day. One reason why we was in class was because of Miss Johanna Gibbs and Coach Perkins. You had to go to class no matter what. Go to class. And, you know, that was instilled in me, and it really blessed me to, that I was fortunate enough to be, you know, carry some good grades. And I made it, I think that was 1980. I was the Department of Education, the Education Department Student of the Year. I carried a 4.0 that year. And that was really the epitome, because when I first got here, I could get to work without even studying, really. And that's because of the good foundation that I had at Aquinas, though. And I really started buckling down because I was in between a 2.7 to 3 point something. And I told myself over the last couple of years that I was going to maintain above the 3 to the 4. And I did that, and that definitely was the utmost in my career to me. Even though I enjoyed going to Kansas City on that national team, and we really, that team there, we were a lot of overachievers. We worked hard, and I mean, we loved each other. It was just like a camaraderie ship, brothers. Like Kerry was saying in the locker room, we kind of bled together, and we weren't scared of anybody and anything, not at that time. And I want to think that I kind of put my heart into their heart, because I definitely, when I came here, I wasn't used to losing, and the first couple of years were kind of shaky, but we put it together and we made that run, and oh, it was such a tremendous atmosphere. I'm not a man of many words, but this is definitely a huge honor for me, especially since I was a pioneer here at USC Aiken and moving into the NAIA ranks. I can remember we started on the ground floor here, and understand where Dr. Carr, his presentation was about him. We used to have to run to Aiken High School, the old Aiken High School, to practice. Man, I wasn't used to running, but we had to do it. And everything worked out. We got a brand new facility here across the street over there. And that's really what sold me with Coach Perkins. He sold me, I mean, Coach Perkins would call me every day after he came to the school, came and talked to my moms and pops, and everyone, we just loved Coach Perkins. Just loved him. Now, him and I, we had our run-ins in my 4 years here, but in the long run, I know it was to make me a better person. And he really did change my life. I can also remember riding on the cold Pacer bus and eating those box dinners at night on the way back. And also getting back real late on our road trips, and definitely had to be to class the next morning. This background really helped me develop into the coach that I am today. It taught me a lot of self-discipline, and that's what I instilled in the kids in my program and in my classes at Keenan. Everyone wants to be in Coach Norris' class. And believe it or not, I teach driver's ed. How did I get there? It was a mistake in my life. Because every day I feel like I want to go take about 3 or 4 drinks after I leave there driving with some of these kids, especially in the inner city. Had some close calls several times. I've also been very fortunate enough to be able to develop kids to achieve at the college level, academically and athletic. I was blessed to have a McDonald's All-American, Mr. Jerome Buddy Harper. Mr. Harper was unbelievable. He was probably the best player to ever come through the state of South Carolina, I would like to say. And I coached him. It was a lesson learned. Buddy was the type of kid that you couldn't give him an inch because he was going to take a mile. I remember the state championship run my first year there at Keenan with Jerome. He had just transferred back in from Oak Hill Academy, and he was Mr. Everything, and he came to me, Coach, I don't want to practice. I'm just going to play. I said, well, buddy, you're not going to play until you start practicing. I think I set him out for the first 7 games. After then, Buddy saw where I was coming from and started showing up for practice and working hard. And after that 7th game, I think we were at Columbia High. It was our opening region game at Columbia High School. And the kid that was playing in front of him that night, he started, but I told Buddy, you will play tonight. The kid was having a fabulous night. He must have went 8 for 8 in the first quarter. I looked at Buddy on the bench. I said, Buddy, don't look like you're going to play tonight. He said, Coach, I can play all 5 positions. I said, okay, go play the point, Buddy. I mean, he was just on the court. He was fantastic. Fantastic. In the classroom, it just depends on what you let him get away with. Outstanding young man, did everything for his family. He committed to Cincinnati and protecting his aunt one night at the house. He had to punch a guy in the inner city. That happens. And I wanted him to take him to press charges on the guy because he actually started. He wouldn't do it because it would upset his aunt's heart. But the guy ended up pressing charges on him. So we had to answer to all of that. And he ended up losing that scholarship to Cincinnati. So we had to come through the JUCO ranks. So it was hard on him, but it was a lesson learned. As a matter of fact, I talked to him last week, and he told me, he said, Coach, I just wish I had listened to you more. But I didn't get him until his senior year. And he's truly a young man that was blessed and probably was a millionaire that never got to spend his money. I've been fortunate enough to win 5 state championships. Coach Rich, that's what I call him, Coach. That's my friend, Kerry. He asked me, well, how many of them tonight? He asked me, how many you won at Keenan? I say, all 5. I'm 5-0 at Keenan. I've been in the state championship at Williston. I left the state championship team. The next year, they won it. But those were some reasons that, that I probably was young and crazy at the time, but I wanted to keep moving. But I've had numerous coaching honors, and really all of that doesn't mean anything to me. My utmost is what I learned from Ms. Gibbs and her classes and everything is about the kid, getting kids to be productive in life. And that's generally what I do. All the state champions, all the titles, everything can be thrown out as long as I see kids be successful. And that's at the basics of my heart. This award places me with a very elite group of men and women who have laid the foundation for others following behind us at this great institution. Again, I would like to thank you for honoring me with such a high honor. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Aaron Ward, who will be presenting Jessica Strickland.
All right. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, the Strickland family. I like to say that not only am I speaking for myself, but also for Coach Snyder, who's in the back and has been coaching the softball team here, I don't know, like forever, probably close to 30 years now. Anyway, I was given some really, really great advice before I wrote this speech from a friend of mine who said, No one has ever said that that speech wasn't long enough, so I'll do everything I can to keep this as brief as possible. I could literally sit here and talk about how Jessica was a 3-time All-American, one of the most decorated athletes to ever come through USC Aiken, but honestly, we're sitting here, she was really good. I think you guys are all pretty well aware of that. I'd rather instead take a minute to tell you a little bit more about Jessica, the teammate and the leader. After 3 years of playing at USC Aiken, Jessica had racked up her fair share of awards. She had a great reputation in the Peach Belt Conference. People were scared to pitch to her. She was leading the conference, leading USC Aiken in home runs, basically just having her way with the softball world. There really wasn't enough for her. Her senior year was my first year here at USC Aiken. Coach Snyder and I had a pretty good bad cop and even badder cop thing going on. We were really trying to push this little team that had a little bit of talent but a whole lot of heart and was really scrappy. We had gone through 9 games. We were 4-5. We had literally just gotten annihilated by UNC Pembroke. Coach Snyder would fix the field because we didn't have a field crew, and I would go into the locker room that was thankfully very soundproof. I was on my way into the locker room during this in between these 2 games of the doubleheader, and I was going to let them politely know that they still were not doing the things that we had talked about in practice. I got 1 foot into the door. Jessica looked at me, told me to get out, and told me she had it from here. I didn't really know what to do, so I got out. I walked over to Coach Snyder. I let him know what was going on because this had never happened, and his response to me was, well, it's about time. We stood around for a while. Slowly, one by one, the girls started to trickle out of the locker room with this look on their face. They looked terrified. Nobody would tell me what she had said to them. I literally, to this day, still cannot get anyone to tell me what she had said to them. I'm pretty sure it wasn't very sweet. We proceeded to, after that, rip off 13 straight wins. We went on to be 13th in the nation. We were 2nd in the Southeast region. We ended up with the highest win percentage that we've ever had here. And on top of all of that, Jessica was an All-American. She was a 4-time All-Conference. She was a 4-time All-Region. And if you ask her, the fact that she took the USC Aiken softball team to the NCAA tournament for the first time is probably her greatest accomplishment here. You probably saw her jersey hanging out there. It's something that probably is a little bit embarrassing to her, but to us, it's a symbol of what we accomplished as a team that year. It was something that she had accomplished every individual honor, but finally, for the first time, USC Aiken softball had accomplished the greatest team honor. So it's my great pleasure that I get the opportunity to introduce my former player and good friend, Jessica Strickland, as a 2016 inductee into the USC Aiken Hall of Fame.
I'm really a nice person. All I told him was just play better, including myself. Of course, I'd like to give Aaron a thank you for my introduction. I'm incredibly honored to be here tonight as an inductee of the USC Aiken Hall of Fame. My journey wasn't like most, but I'm grateful that things worked out the way they did and I ended up at this great school. I would like to thank the faculty and staff at USCA for providing me and all of the students here at USC Aiken with a top-notch education. This school is truly one of the best in the country. Coach, what could I say about you? You are truly a one-of-a-kind man. You are a role model and one of the kindest people that I know. I'm truly grateful to you for giving me the opportunity to play at USCA. You believed in me when some didn't, and you took a chance on me, and I'm forever grateful. I have so many great memories of my time here that I can forever cherish because of you, so thank you, Coach. Papa, I may have wrote your name here in pen, because I wasn't 100% sure you were coming, but you're here. So thank you for everything you did while I was here. You were like a grandfather to me and a role model, so I appreciate everything that you've done and that you continue to do. Aaron, I may say something nice about you, I don't know. I believe I was a senior in high school when you first approached me about playing summer ball for you. You helped me with the entire process of finding the right college for me, and boy, did I ever. Eventually, you followed me and some of your other former players here. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. Most of all, thank you for being my friend and a person that I can always count on. I wouldn't have made it this far without you. Thank you. Mom and Dad, Dad, thanks for always being at my games and supporting me no matter how busy your schedule was. Mom, you were my role model. I can only hope to become half as amazing as person as you are. Thank you for raising me. Thank you both for raising me the right way and molding me into the person I am today, and for your constant love and support in everything that I do. Megan, my little sister, you followed me around a lot when I was a kid, and it used to really, really irritate me. Now I'm forever grateful of the time that we got to spend together. You are my best friend and the one that I can always talk to. Thank you, Trey, my brother-in-law, for putting up with my sister. I'm not quite sure how he does it. And I should probably thank the two of you for giving me an amazingly cute nephew as well. I think he looks like me, though. Danielle, thank you for being here tonight and supporting me and sticking by me through everything. Also, thank you for your public service as an EMT. Last but not least, I would like to say thank you to my friends and my former teammates. Without them, this would not have been achievable. I believe Ashley is the only former teammate here tonight. Thank you for being my friend through a whole lot. I know I will always have a place to come back to when I'm in Aiken. I was truly blessed in my time here at USCA. I have friends, teammates, and memories that I will never forget. Ted Williams once said, "Baseball is the only field of endeavor where a man can succeed 3 times out of 10 and be considered a good performer." So thank you. Thank you to all, and God bless.
Our last presenter is Greg Kaufman, who will be presenting Dr. Jim Kaufman.
Good evening. Did I hear Zach Norris say he's a man of few words? It is truly an honor and a privilege to stand here before you to present my dad, Dr. James Kaufman, or as many of you know him, Dean K., as the final 2016 inductee into the USC Aiken Athletic Hall of Fame. It has been said that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Until they know how much you care. My dad has cared for this university and those who represent it since he accepted the position as the university's first dean of students all the way back in the summer of 1977. 1977. Wow. Just to give you all some perspective, at that time, there were only 3 buildings on campus: the administration building, the library, and the activities center. That's it. No Etheridge Center, no convocation center, no science center, no Pacer Downs, Commons, or crossings, and certainly no Starbucks. He became a pioneer for USCA athletics very early on. It started almost immediately when he volunteered to coach the baseball team during the 1977-78 season. The previous coach had suddenly stepped down, and there was no one else willing to take on the responsibility of coaching the team that year. There was actually very serious consideration given to dropping baseball altogether. Can you believe that? Dropping baseball at USC Aiken? When you see the beautiful Roberto Hernandez Stadium, the overall success of the program, and how important baseball is to this university, aren't we all glad that didn't happen? He only coached for 1 year, but in that year, reestablished the foundation of the program and helped provide a vision for the future. At the same time, he took on the role of public address announcer for the men's basketball team. He announced games from 1977 until 2001. I'm really not sure how he got that gig or how he kept it. He's the only PA announcer that I know to get thrown out of a game by the officials for arguing a call from the media table. But that gives you a glimpse into his passion for athletics and USC Aiken. And to this day, he still swears, "It was a charge." When Lou Perkins stepped down in 1980, he took on the role of athletic director, along with his dean of students responsibility, and recently expanded role of associate chancellor. He was the AD until 1987. As athletic director, he was actively involved in hiring numerous high-profile coaches for both the men's and women's programs, including Drew McPherson, former head coach of women's basketball and recent USCA Hall of Fame inductee, and the current and arguably best athletic director, outside of my dad, that this university has ever seen, Coach Randy Warwick. In the summer of 1980, following the resignation of the previous club president, my dad took over the Pacer Club, saying, "I will just have to adjust my schedule to make the time. I'm going to do whatever needs to be done to ensure that the high quality of this program is maintained." My dad was a champion for women's athletics at USCA. He supported, alongside Johanna Gibbs, another Hall of Fame inductee, the Lady Pacers' push into joining the NAIA, a ground floor opportunity to advance women's athletics at the university. The timing was perfect, as the following year, he coordinated the welcome home celebration for the Lady Pacers as the NAIA National Tournament District 6 basketball champions. He was a tireless fundraiser for the university and helped the athletic department receive one of the largest single gifts of that time in 1982, when Regal Textile Corporation donated new uniforms to the baseball program. That contribution was a momentous occasion for the university's athletic program. It came during a period of limited resources and expanding costs, and a gift of that magnitude had a significant impact on the program. He said he was especially pleased for the baseball players who, quote, "deserve to look as good as they have been playing." In 1983, he was the driving force behind USCA's realized dream of adding lights for baseball over at Satcher Field. He worked with the folks at Hubble for the lights, with SCE&G for the poles, and what a sense of satisfaction to flip that switch and coordinate the first night game for USCA. The story seems to have grown over the years, much like many of his fishing stories, with the latest version being that on that momentous night, under the lights, with overflowing crowds, cotton candy and elephant ear vendors all around, and a carnival-like atmosphere, USC Aiken smashed the Clemson Tigers. Sounds good to me, Pop. He booked numerous fundraising appearances in the early 80s for the benefit of the athletic programs, including Don Shula, the ex-Miami Dolphins head coach, on a couple of different occasions. He also brought in the Harlem Globetrotters to USC Aiken for the first time. Unfortunately, they appeared on a rare, snowy winter night, so I'm not sure the university made a lot of money that evening, since we all know how much folks in Aiken love to get out and drive around in the snow. Yet these events raised much-needed funds for the athletic program, and more importantly, they also provided community exposure for the university. In 1983, he helped bring visibility to up-and-coming sports. He helped the Pacers co-host the Spider Invitational Golf Tournament. The tournament helped bring additional visibility to the golf program during the first year in which the university was able to have a competitive golf schedule. He expanded that in 1984 when the Pacer Invitational Golf Tournament was announced. At the time, it was the only intercollegiate golf tournament which brought together golfers from the NCAA, the NAIA, and the National Junior Collegiate Athletic Association. From 1995 to 2000, he was the USCA faculty athletic representative to the NCAA and represented the university at the national level. My dad retired in 2005 after serving the university for 28 years. Dad, I'm so proud of you and the difference you've made not only to this university, but to our community. Without you, your commitment, your vision, and your courage to be a leader, this university would look a lot different today. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you USC Aiken Athletic Department Hall of Fame inductee, my dad, Dr. James Kaufman. Yeah, you want your words? Mm-hmm. Hang on.
Everybody's coming.
Bear with him.
I got my notes. You know, one of the interesting things that happened when Randy Warwick called me and indicated that the Hall of Fame had decided not to go just with athletics, but also to go with academics. And so I asked him, I said, well, that's great, but how are we going to do it? How are you going to know that I'm the one? I don't have, I haven't run any base pass or anything. And he said, we'll take care of you. And I want you to look up on one of these things, has me with suspenders on. And so if you're ever looking for a person from USC Aiken who you question whether they had athletic skills, look and see if they have any of Lionel Smith's suspenders on. Sorry, I'm taking a little bit longer, but the day comes to an end. And I want to thank everyone here who came, who went through the wonderful voices and things of the athletic department that we've had. and it makes it possible for years to come ahead of us now. So it's been a great evening. I'm blessed to be part of it, to have my son as part of it, and to have each of you joining in the future again of USC Aiken athletics. Thank you very much.
That's yours. Leave that there.
And ladies and gentlemen, we've heard a lot about accomplishments on the field and off the field tonight. One common thread that was there, what's in this group of people's heart. And I'd like to please join me in congratulating and giving a round of applause for our inductees. At this time, I'd like to introduce our athletic director, Randy Warwick, for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Joe. Let's give Joe Kacharski, our voice of the Pacers, a big round of applause for his efforts tonight. I'd like to ask the Hall of Fame committee members that are present to please stand up and be recognized. They're all listed in the program, but look around. These are the people that take the time and effort. We meet once a year. We have our balloting, and they're responsible for this group up here. And speaking of our inductees, they were recognized earlier, but I'd like to ask our former Hall of Fame inductees to please stand up, be recognized one more time. Thank you. As you can imagine, an event of this magnitude requires the help and cooperation of many different entities. I'd like to publicly thank my staff, Tim Hall, Angie Osmond, Brent Hager and the sports information staff, and Billy Murphy, all who have spent many hours this week trying to make sure that everything was going to be perfect for tonight. I'd also like to give a shout out to Spectra, who helped us set up the arena, Aramark for that fabulous meal that we had tonight, housekeeping and operations for all that they do to help keep this facility running. Please join me in giving all of them a big round of applause. Michael Jordan once said, and not the Michael Jordan that's our chancellor's husband, but the Michael Jordan that played basketball, once said, some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. I think that our inductees tonight certainly fall into that category of those that make things happen. I want to add my congratulations to them for being the newest members of the USC Aiken Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Before we close tonight, I'd like to ask our Hall of Fame members to stay up here with your presenters. Dr. Jordan's going to come forward. We're going to make some more pictures up here. If anyone else would like to come and take pictures, this would be a great opportunity to do that. As soon as we get through doing that, I'm going to ask Tim and Angie if they would unveil the Hall of Fame etchings that we have over to my right so that everyone can see those. And lastly, I'd like to remind everybody that we've got home baseball and home basketball tomorrow as part of homecoming, plus a bunch of other activities scheduled for today. And I hope that you'll come back and take a part, participate with those. Thank you for coming, and look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow.